As we've said a lot of times before, our past is full of grim, brutal, and revolting moments, and it is up to archaeologists to bring that darker side of history to life. What we know, what we learn, and what we understand about our past is just the tip of the iceberg. In real reality, we know nothing. How do we know that our universe is made up of 68% dark energy and 27% dark matter, which we can't see or feel? How do we know that there are more than 2 trillion galaxies in our observable universe? Well, we don't. And that's just what you're going to see in today's video. 15 mysterious discoveries that can't be explained. And trust us, by the end, you'll not just have goosebumps, but you'll also be questioning the very fabric of our existence. Let's start off with Number 15, the rise of civilization, or maybe not. In the 1960s, some anthropologists took one look at a pile of broken limestone slabs in Turkey and went, "Hey, just a medieval cemetery." Spoiler, they were embarrassingly wrong. That site turned out to be Göbekli Tepe, an 11,000-year-old temple complex that rewrites the entire story of civilization. Normally, history tells us that humans started farming first and then built temples and cities. But Göbekli Tepe? It flips that timeline upside down. This place was built before agriculture was even a thing, meaning people came together for religion before they came together for food. That's like discovering someone built a nightclub before they even figured out how to brew beer. And the carvings? Absolute nightmare fuel. Scorpions, spiders, lions. Some experts think it wasn't a settlement, just a place for hunter-gatherers to symbolically battle the terrors of their world. But since it predates writing by 6,000 years, all we've got is guesswork. So, was this the birthplace of civilization, or just an ancient fear factory? Well, no one knows. Number 14, an ancient city built on a coral reef. If you're building a city, you pick solid ground, something stable, not, say, a coral reef. Unless, of course, you're the ancient builders of Nan Madol, who took one look at the Pacific Ocean and went, "Yeah, let's build here." This place, off the coast of Micronesia, is a sprawling, abandoned city made up of lava rock columns stacked like giant Lincoln logs. Some of the walls are 25 feet high, and one single cornerstone weighs 50 tons. That's a lot heavier than your entire bad decision-making history. The total estimated weight of this city is about 750,000 metric tons. So, how did they transport these stones? Well, that's it. Nobody knows. Some locals think it was built with magic, and honestly, considering modern engineers can't figure it out either, magic sounds plausible. Between the eerie silence, the impossible construction, and the fact that it's literally sinking, Nan Madol remains one of the weirdest, most inexplicable cities in history. Number 13, the mystery walls near Berkeley, California. Imagine hiking through the hills near Berkeley and stumbling across a giant ancient wall made of boulders up to a ton in weight. Weird, right? Now imagine those walls don't form a fortress, don't block anything useful, and don't have a clear pattern. Welcome to the Berkeley Mystery Walls, aka the biggest in California history. These stone walls stretch randomly from Berkeley to San Jose, some just a few yards long, others up to half a mile. No one knows who built them, just like other old stuff. Spanish settlers reported seeing them when they arrived, and the local Olón people were like, "Yeah, those were here before us too." Some people think they're leftovers from a lost civilization, others think they're the work of pre-European Mongolian settlers or even Sir Francis Drake's crew. The only theory that's definitely wrong, that hippies built them in the 60s. Those walls have been confusing people for centuries. What do you think about them? Number 12, giant symbols carved into the earth. Ancient people had a weird habit of making giant art pieces you could only see from the sky. Take the Blythe intaglios in California. 6 enormous figures carved into the desert, the largest being 171 feet long. These things are so massive that no one even noticed them until a pilot flew overhead in 1932 and went, what the heck is that? Researchers think they're between 450 and 2,000 years old, but no one knows their true purpose. Some believe they tell the Kemehuevi tribe's creation story. Others think they were meant for the gods. But since the people who made them didn't exactly leave behind an instruction manual, all we have are theories. One thing's for sure. If you're making art so big that future civilizations can only see it from planes that don't even exist yet, you're playing a whole different level of long game. Number 11, where did the moon come from? No, seriously. We've walked on the moon, sent rovers, and brought back rocks. And yet, the whole origin of the moon is still up for debate. The leading theory is that billions of years ago, a Mars-sized planet smashed into Earth, knocking off a massive chunk that eventually became our moon. It is a cool story, except there are other theories too, like maybe the moon was a rogue asteroid that got caught in Earth's gravitational pull. Now, the problem here is that every theory has big holes. If the moon was a piece of Earth, why does its composition not entirely match? If it was a captured asteroid, why is its orbit so weirdly perfect? Basically, after all these years, scientists are still like, we think this is what happened? Maybe? So yeah, we've sent people to walk on the moon, but we still don't know where it came from. The moon is a mysterious discovery. Number 10. The Witch's Stone of Forres, Scotland. Between the 1590s and 1660s, Scotland was losing its collective mind over witches. Thanks to religious chaos and paranoia, nearly 4,000 people, mostly women, were accused, tortured, and executed. And in the town of Forres, they had an especially gruesome way of doing it. Local legend says that accused witches were stuffed into barrels filled with spikes, rolled down a hill, and then burned alive at the bottom. Because, you know, simply setting them on fire wasn't brutal enough. Supposedly, a massive boulder marks the site of these executions. The creepy part? When people tried to break the stone up and use it for home construction, those houses became cursed. Residents fell mysteriously ill until the stones were returned to their original spot. So, was it just a pure coincidence? Well, who knows, maybe. But when an entire town collectively goes, yeah, let's not mess with that rock, you know something's up. Number 9. Cleopatra's Lost Tomb. Cleopatra VII was Egypt's last great ruler, known for her intelligence, political cunning, and infamous affairs with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. But while history remembers her dramatic death in 30 BC, one thing remains missing: her tomb. Ancient accounts, particularly from Plutarch, claim she and Mark Antony were buried together in a magnificent mausoleum near a temple to Isis. But to this day, no one has found it. Where is Egypt's most famous queen? Some believe her tomb lies beneath modern Alexandria, swallowed by earthquakes and rising sea levels. Others think it could be hidden in the desert, in an undiscovered royal necropolis. And even if it's ever found, would there be anything left? Ancient tombs were prime targets for looters, and Cleopatra's may have been stripped bare centuries ago. She was genuinely cute. Number 8. The Hobbits of Flores. In 2003, archaeologists digging on the remote island of Flores stumbled upon something that should have been impossible: a 3-foot-tall human skeleton. At first, they assumed it was just a human with a growth disorder. Then, they found more of these tiny beings. Meet Homo floresiensis, or as scientists affectionately call them, the hobbits. These little humans lived alongside modern humans for thousands of years, but had chimp-sized brains while still making tools and hunting. So how did they end up on Flores? Some think they evolved from an earlier human species and shrank due to island dwarfism. Others believe they took an alternate evolutionary path that rewrites everything we know. And here's the wildest part. Local legends talk about tiny, hairy people called the Abu Gogo, who supposedly lived on the island until a few centuries ago. So, did the hobbits ever really die out? Maybe not, or maybe yes. Who knows? Number 7. The Cockno Stone. Buried for decades under Glasgow, Scotland, the Cockno Stone is a massive prehistoric slab covered in swirling symbols, circles, and mysterious patterns. It's like something out of an ancient alien conspiracy, except it's very real, and no one knows what it means. Discovered in the 1880s, the stone was reburied in the 1960s to stop vandalism and keep people from destroying it while trying to decode its meaning. When archaeologists re-excavated it in 2016, they were left with even more questions. Was it an ancient map, a star chart, a spiritual site, a prehistoric Snapchat? Some researchers think it could be linked to celestial events, while others believe it marked sacred ground for rituals. The truth? Still unknown. But one thing's clear. Whoever carved the Cockno Stone 5,000 years ago was trying to send an important message. Number 6. Noah's Ark. Few stories are as famous or as frustrating as Noah's Ark. Whether it's a literal ship, an allegory, or just a biblical blockbuster, one question remains: did it actually exist? For centuries, people have searched for evidence, and Mount Ararat in Turkey is supposedly where it landed. Over the years, adventurers and amateur archaeologists have claimed to find traces of the Ark, but every so-called discovery turns out to be wood fragments, geological formations, or straight-up hoaxes. Skeptics argue that the global flood story is a recycled myth found in multiple ancient cultures. Others believe Noah's Ark could have been a real ship, just not a world-ending mega-vessel. The truth? No proof. No ark. Just endless theories. Whether it was a historical event or a religious metaphor, Noah's Ark continues to fuel expeditions, debates, and wild speculations, even though no one has ever actually found it. So, was it really real? Number 5. The Big Circles of Jordan. Scattered across Jordan's countryside are 11 massive stone circles, each about 1,300 feet wide. Built thousands of years ago, they have no entrances, no clear purpose, and no written records explaining why they exist. In short, a giant prehistoric mystery. Some archaeologists think they were used for rituals or marked territories, while others argue they could have been massive meeting places. But here's the problem. They're too low to be walls, and they don't seem to have a defensive function. They're literally just big circles. When compared to similar ancient structures across the Middle East, the mystery deepens. Were they astronomical markers? Trade route indicators? For now, no one knows why they were built or what purpose they served. The only thing we're sure of? Whoever made them had a plan. We just haven't figured it out yet. Number 4. King Tut's death. Well, this dude from Egg Pit was pretty famous. King Tutankhamun's tomb was legendary, but what was found inside was even more shocking. His body was burned to a crisp. And no, this wasn't some ancient cremation ritual gone wrong. It happened inside his own tomb after burial. So what the hell happened? Scientists now think his body was mummified in a rush, possibly because his death at 19 was unexpected. The embalmers drenched him in flammable oils, sealed the tomb too soon, and when oxygen leaked in, boom. A chemical reaction basically slow-roasted the boy king like an overcooked turkey. And that's not the only mystery. X-rays show Tut had a broken leg, which could have led to a deadly infection. But was it an accident? A chariot crash? A murder? Some believe he was pushed into the afterlife a little earlier than planned. Whatever the truth is, King Tut's death is still as mysterious as the treasures buried with him. Number 3. The Terracotta Army. In 1974, farmers in China's Shanxi province were digging a well when they struck something unexpected. Fragments of a life-sized clay figure, What they had found was part of one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of all time, the terracotta army of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. Buried in 210 BC, the 8,000-strong army of terracotta soldiers, horses, and chariots was meant to guard the emperor in the afterlife. But for the farmers who uncovered it, the find brought more hardship than fortune. Some feared the artifacts were cursed religious statues, but their real misfortune came from the government seizing their farmland without fair compensation. Instead of a reward, the farmers received a meager 10 credit points, worth about 1 yuan. Their lives became overrun by tourists, government officials, and archaeologists. Some fell into poverty, unable to afford medical care, and at least 2 took their own lives. For the world, the terracotta army was a treasure. For those who found it, a tragedy. Number 2. The Ark of the Covenant. If history had a most wanted list, the Ark of the Covenant would be at the top. Supposedly crafted to hold the 10 Commandments, this golden chest was so powerful, it could bring cities to their knees. Literally, legend says just touching it could kill a person. But here's the problem. No one knows where it is. The last confirmed sighting was before the Babylonians destroyed the first temple in Jerusalem in 587 BC. Did they steal it? Did priests hide it before the invasion? Was it smuggled to Ethiopia, where a church claims to have it locked away? Some even think it's buried under the Temple Mount, waiting to be rediscovered. Adding to the mystery, an ancient Hebrew prophecy claims the Ark will only resurface when the Messiah comes. So, unless that happens, the greatest holy relic in history remains lost, or maybe right under our noses. Number 1. The Black Sarcophagus. In 2018, Egyptian archaeologists uncovered a massive 30-ton black granite sarcophagus in Alexandria. Wild theories took off. Was this the tomb of Alexander the Great? Was it cursed? The truth? Disgusting. When the lid was removed, archaeologists found 3 skeletons floating in red sewage. The sarcophagus had not been properly sealed, allowing wastewater to seep over centuries, creating a rotting, putrid soup. The remains belonged to 2 men and 1 lady, none of whom were royalty. One of the males had a hole in his skull, evidence of trepanation, one of history's oldest brain surgeries. This suggests he survived the operation, though its purpose remains unknown. Despite the horrifying discovery, some people were so fascinated that they started an online petition to drink the sarcophagus liquid. Yes, really. While they didn't get their wish, the black sarcophagus remains one of Egypt's most infamous finds in modern history. If you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.